What's up?
I want to test this other mic.
Is your stream live right now? I don't see you up on Twitch at the moment. Wait, what's your fucking Twitch? What the hell? I don't have like a notification. Oh, now I do that you're live. I was like, wait, I definitely follow you on Twitch. Alright, we're good. Is there a delay on this? Alright, because I was gonna like, wasn't that way I could like follow what you're doing while looking at everything else. All the Excel sheets and shit. You should post in the Discords that you're live. I'm exhausted after nights. I feel like absolute dog shit when I woke up.
Why?
I was working overnights the last couple of days.
Oh yeah,
so my whole sleep schedule is like super fucked up right now.
Yeah.
Had to reset myself to get ready for tomorrow.
Yeah, I actually pulled an all-nighter.
You just pull all-nighters though. No.
Where the fuck is oh, it's right since houses. Oh no, changed. Yeah, is it better or worse?
It's a lot better.
It's I switched to like I have a streaming mic, like a professional one. My brother got for me, so I'm using that. So I have a standard headset.
Yeah, it sounds a lot better.
Nice. Yeah. I actually started a Word document too.
Yeah, I have the Excel file up, the actual bracket up. I have my fake bracket up.
Nice. Where's the game types?
I mean, it's just Team Slayer.
Yeah, but there's like which maps. Oh, does rotation matter?
No, I think you just. Yeah. See you at 2 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. Yeah, probably a smart idea. Go back through the stream, yeah. But you'll mainly have the bracket on the main screen once we start talking. Yeah, that's fine. The committee.
Do they know yet who they're replacing him with?
Yeah. They are doing it though, right? They're still in. Yeah, that's good. Alright, sounds good. See you in a few minutes.
Either way. Yeah, you can go ahead with Sunzel. It's fine. Plus, that kind of gives me some time because I'm still filling out my losers bracket.
Yeah, I'm looking right now. I'll mention just one matchup in the first winners, and then Cold Snap can go with another or whatever. We can just bounce off each other.
Alrighty. At the top of your head, do you know if there's a keyboard command to mute or unmute in Discord? He's a genius, man. Delete it, quick. Oh, bro. You can time out Nightbot.
team will need to know the rules for tomorrow. And if you are one of the unlucky souls who does not finish in the top 6, don't worry. 5 raffle prizes of $40 each will be given out to any team lucky enough to win outside of the top 6. And of course, we have 4 stream giveaways of $25 each. If you follow this stream tomorrow and watch it throughout the tournament, we will give away $25 each every couple hours. Which leads me to some acknowledgments for this tournament. First off, I want to thank Rampage. We're all talking about money. Rampage fronted all the money for this tournament, so if you haven't thanked him, please do so, because without him, none of this is possible. Also thank Chris Puckett for the promotion that he's done. He's done a fantastic job getting the word out and getting people to sign up for this. And I'd also like to thank my 2 guests tonight. One is the captain of the Rice Chris 3s competing tomorrow, and that is Sunzel. Say hi, Sunzel. Sunzel, you here? Okay.
Hey, yep, we're good. Hey, thanks for introducing me, Fizzy, and thanks for having me on.
All right, yeah, thanks for coming. And also my co-commentator tomorrow, returning to the broadcast booth for tournaments, none other than Cold Snap. How you doing, Cold Snap?
Hello. I'm well. Very excited.
All right. So everybody in chat is everybody's saying running back. Everybody's been waiting since the registration closed tomorrow, or closed yesterday, and now it is time that we go over the bracket. So, you guys ready?
Yep.
All right, without further ado, here is your tournament bracket. And boys, I just want to point out, before I let you guys talk about your predictions and your matchups that you want to look at, you'll notice that Puckett's team has fallen to the 10 seed, fallen on hard times. That's not just because he's 18 years past his prime. It's because Ogre 2 is not going to be competing. I'm sorry to let you know that. But the show must go on. And I'm sure Puckett will find a suitable fill-in that can, match his 5 national championships. And anyway, I would like to turn it over to my 2 guests, Sunzel and Cold Snap. Sunzel, I'll ask you first. What matchup are you most excited for tomorrow in the winners bracket?
In the winners bracket, well, minus obviously probably going to see Twisted's team and Z Solchi's team and Quace's team is likely our top 3 teams in the tournament. I think at least in winners round 1, looking at high ping advantage, which will be H1 Locks team versus Feedy Fondlers. That's the group of the M2K players with Private 99. I think that might be the best round 1 matchup. Should easily see it possibly go to 7 games right there.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. That's one of the ones I had picked out as well. That's winners round 2, actually, after I guess what we could call the play-ins.
Yeah, I guess that is true. Another one I think as well would be the 3-shot teabaggers versus Buddy Boy Times. That's LD50's team versus Meat C's team. And I think Meat's team has been practicing all week. They've given a lot of teams a lot of good scrims. They played our team. They played Quace's team. So they're playing up against higher seeded teams. They're playing against lower seeded teams to get their teamwork on. And from what Brink told me, his team has not scrimmed once together yet. So I think that Meat's team coming in as the 11th seed against that 6th seeded team that hasn't scrimmed could get surprised there in winners round 2 and lose out. And then they would potentially most likely play the B-liners, which is Quace's team alongside Hippie Magic, Salami on top, and Fuzz in winners round 3.
Yeah, talk to me about Buddy Boy Time. What was it like playing against that team? Because I actually did hear some good stuff about them coming out of scrims too. Which, when I'm looking at, Meat's team against LD50, I mean, Swelly, Brink, and Slatchy, LD50, they're all just major slayers. I don't know how Buddy Boy Time is going to be able to keep up with that. But if they've been practicing a lot and if they're gelling real well, I'd be very interested to see if there could possibly be what I would consider an upset.
Yeah, I think that from when we scrimmed them, we did, 6-1 in our 6-0 in our scrim when we did our full team with myself, Chief Crypto, Real Power, and Mike Levin. However, we almost choked a prisoner. We only won 50-49. We almost choked a hang. It was like 50-47. So when they're on, they are gelling really well together. And these 4 guys that play on Meat's team on Buddy Boy Time, they play together all the time. So there's already a lot of chemistry there, where I don't think you'll see that as much with LD50 and Brink's team, where these guys aren't normally playing in stacks together, aren't playing 2s together a lot, anything like that. So sometimes that chemistry and knowing how your teammates are going to play might be more important than just having a bunch of main slayers who might be off doing their own thing and not playing for the team. So that's why I think that this is probably the biggest upset in round 1 that we could easily see.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to that one. And I'll go ahead and start out by being the bad guy here. I do agree with that. I think, Brink is a wonderful slayer, but I think it very rarely registers on his mind where his teammates are spawning at. And I feel the LD50, I don't know how much he pays attention to teammates, but when I've played twos against him in the past, he's felt a little predictable. So I think you are very spot on with that. That there's the chance that it's a bunch of slayers that are kind of off doing their own thing, and maybe they're all sitting there screwing each other over. So there definitely could be a chance for an upset there. On the other side, I'm a little concerned about both SVT Rider and Stifle. I actually ran a bunch of games against Stifle the other night, and I didn't think it was particularly challenging. And I think probably the same out of Ryder when I played against him. Great guy, but some very suspicious positioning on his part. So that's certainly for that matchup what I'm going to be looking at. How much are LD and Brink paying attention to their teammates' positions versus how much can Stifle and SVT Ryder step up in the slay department or keeping the deaths down?
Yeah, looking at how those teams are going to play together, either Meat's team is going to gel really well together. Hopefully, they don't get too tilted if they go down in a series. And I think that's an important thing to bring up here in the winners bracket, in case anybody doesn't know on the who's viewing the stream right now. All of the winners bracket is a best of 7, while all of the losers bracket minus the losers bracket finals is a best of 5. So during the winners bracket, you have enough time that you can make mistakes. You can go down 0-2 in the winners bracket and start to pull back. It does have to be important to know that you have so many opportunities to come back in the series. Well, whenever you get to the losers bracket, if you go down 0-2, there's no more mistakes that are allowed. So a lot of teams here in the winners bracket, if you do go down 0-2, even 0-3, you have time to try and pull it together and get a feel for how the other team's playing, which is very important. I think just from my team's experience when we've been scrimming, I know on one of the first nights we played Quase's team, we started the series down 0-3. We just kept our composure. We said, we're going to tie this up, brought it back 3-3. We played another 2 tiebreaker maps. We stayed at 4-4, and then we called it at the end of the series. But that's going to be very important to see how some teams react when they start losing early on in these matchups.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to pitch this to you. There are 2 other matchups here in the round two, that I'm very excited for. So I want to see what you think. The first one is Locke's team, high ping advantage, Locke, Blaza, King of Kings, and Slevin versus Private 99's team, Feedy Fondlers, Rockavelli, Aftermath, Bobak, and Private 99. I'm very interested to see how that one goes because certainly probably everybody here has had that experience of trying to shoot Locke or Blaza and it just does not work. Um, but on the other side of the equation, you have a top tier Beachland player playing with probably the best guys out of M2K. So that matchup stands out to me. And then the other one that stands out to me is I think we're going to get to see the micropuds, Bill Jansen, Pure Money, Sneak, and Profleet versus 18 years past our prime. So whoever comes in for Ogre 2. What do you think about those 2 matchups?
All right, yeah, I'll start with the Locke and the Feedy Fondlers matchup. I think Locke's team is actually pretty good on paper, even with the high ping advantage. They play together a lot. They know how each other plays. I'm a little interested to see how Private 99 fits into this Feedy Fondlers team because he normally doesn't play with Rockavelli, Aftermath, Bobak. He actually generally plays with your teammate, Cold Snap Season. Um, so it's going to be interesting to see if there's any communication issues that Private 99 is playing here with M2K, to see if there's any differences in play styles. A lot of us who play Private 99 in the twos playlist know how passive he likes to play. He loves Dark Hall and Chili. He loves Red on Dammy. He sets up a nice camping chair with a hot cup of cocoa, anything like that, and then you just have to push them. While Locke's team, I think, is going to be able to hold forward a little bit more and really get in their face. King of Kings is very good. I don't know too much about Slevin, but from when we've scrimmed Locke's team, just like with a mixed match of players to give them some scrim opportunities, they definitely hold their own in this matchup. So I can. This is the one matchup in winners round 2 where I absolutely can see it going to game 7 and go to it can go to either team.
Yeah, absolutely. And you bring up a really good point about Private 99's new play style now, how he's just insanely passive. I'm kind of curious how that is going to gel, like you're saying, with Rockavelli, who tends to be much more aggressive. Same with Aftermath, and Bobak kind of to a lesser degree. So is there going to be kind of a little bit of fractured team positioning there that maybe Blaze and Locke, with their hyper aggression, can pick apart?
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see. I don't know if Rockabilly's team is scrimmed. They haven't scrimmed our team, and I haven't seen anybody stream any of their scrims. So if I could have, I would have watched some of their matches just to get a feel for how they're playing together. But if they are, that's the big thing, is just looking at that style of play to see if it's going to work out for them. And I think Locke's team has that advantage that they play together all the time. They know how they're going to have to play going into the tournament. They've been doing a lot of scrims, or even just like Locke or Blazer King at Kings have just been hopping in customs just to get extra reps in with some of the games on how they have to play. So that'll be a great round one matchup, and it'll be really exciting when that starts tomorrow. But do you want to hop down to the 7-10 matchup here, Cold Snap?
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So 7-10. That's going to be Bill Jansen's team, consisting of himself, Profleet, Pure Money, and Sneak. Luckily, Profleet is now sober. I don't believe he's allowed to have any alcohol tonight per his contract with Bill Jansen, just to make sure that he's prepared for tomorrow. So this team will be interesting to watch. And a little surprised with Bill Jansen on the Kansas team, because I know that Profleet and them were trying to get Mimic earlier on during signups, but now they have Bill Jansen, and they've been getting some practice. They've been getting a little bit of practice, and I know our team scrimmed them when we didn't have Chief Crypto. We had Fizzy subbing in, and then at one point they Sneak had to go, and they swapped out Nate Dogg, and we still had Fizzy stay in, so we continued scrimming them. And the biggest thing with this team is going to be Tilt, and I'll just say it now. If anybody watches Bill Jansen stream, he's a nice guy. Great streamer, brings a lot of love to the Halo 1 community, but when he starts to get tilted or things are not going his way, it's going to be interesting to see the communication issues that break down within this team.
Yeah, definitely. And I think
yeah.
one of the single biggest things that we can't really even attempt to predict how this matchup is going to turn out is we don't know who's replacing Ogre 2. Is it going to be Ogre 1 and woo, the team maybe doesn't look all that different on paper, or are they just going to have to grab whoever else is around? I mean, obviously, some top tier player is going to want to play with them. But I mean, those are some big shoes to fill. That being said, and here I'm gonna go ahead and be the bad guy again. When I've played against Strange Purple, it was really bad. In custom fours, he actually went 1-15. And then myself and one other person ran up against him and his 4-stack. Now maybe they were drinking, who knows? But that was a very easy sweep for us. So if that isn't the problem, I think the team has a massive weak link on it. And then Dominator, I don't know him at all, but I haven't seen him on, so that's kind of another question mark. So, just looking at this, I think Bill's team is going to take it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I do think that Bill's team should be able to take it. Puckett hasn't been on to scrim. Haven't heard anything from Dominator. I haven't heard anything from Strange Purple, who, if anybody doesn't know, is known as STK Doug on MCC. Unless they pick up someone like maybe Bo hops in last minute, I think this could be a very quick 4-0 for Bill's team, because his team does have practice. Bill's been playing customs all week. He's been having everybody hop in. Profleet's been playing customs with Bill. Pure Money's been in there. Haven't seen Sneak in about a week, but I feel like their teamwork is just going to win this matchup.
Yeah, for sure. What would it take, do you think, for them to lose this matchup?
It depends on who the fourth is. I think if they did have Ogre 2, I can absolutely see them beating Bill's team right here in round one. But unless they get someone like Bo or just another really hard-hitting Slayer that can control the pace of the game and everything, I don't see Puckett's team winning here in winners round two. I'd be very shocked if Bill's team even lost a map here. I think we're going to look at either a quick 4-0 or a very quick 4-1.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think it's not going to be a question of Puckett winning it. I think it's going to be a question of Bill's team losing it.
Yeah,
Bill tends to be a very montage centric player, and he spends a lot of time running around in socials against AR kids trying to jump out and snipe, and those bad habits often do come out in the customs, where you'll see him even recently, pushing Hang'em top power up, grabs the OV at the 1 minute mark. Instead of dropping down to cam, he jumps over to the sniper and then tries to like no scope versus 3 people pistoling him and just immediately gets melted. I think he'll probably pay more attention during a tournament than that. But even so, there have been times in clutch games where I do see some of that social gameplay come out. Um, Kind of the same thing for Prof Fleet. Prof has a solid pistol, sometimes some questionable decision making. I think Sneak and Pure Money are pretty solid. I believe it was Pure Money that played with Zorg in the Texas LAN. So that's kind of vetted status right there. So almost no chance I think that they lose this here, but maybe with some misplays and a big Slayer on the other team, maybe Strange Purple does turn up. Dominator turns out better than we thought, or better than we could expect. Yeah, I don't know, maybe like a 1 in 10 chance.
Yeah, I think I completely agree with your assessment right there, Cold Snap. I do think Bill's team should probably immediately be moving on to winners round 3, where either we can talk about some of these winners round 1 teams if you want. I don't know too much about enough of them other than the Mexican Dream Team, just because Teal's team was scrimming a lot over the last 2 weeks, and I have to give them a lot of credit. I know they're the 19th seed here for the tournament, but those guys were more than happy to ask our team and multiple other teams for scrims just to get some gameplay down and try and learn how they need to play together to pick up some maps here on the tournament. So I'm rooting for Teal's team to get through that round 1 matchup against Grief Squad. They took a lot of their scrims very seriously. They played like troopers as best they could. So it'd be nice to see them to get through that winners round 1 matchup.
Yeah, and that's I actually just played. Actually, no, maybe it was 2 or 3, just me against 2 or 3 of the Grief Squad last night, and I did lose solo, but I put up like 21 and 10 or something like that. Not something that you want to see in a 1v3 situation. So that doesn't, I don't think, bode very well. That being said, honestly, if I run into Bleeding Teal in matchmaking, I look at that as a free win. I don't know his other 3 teammates. So that's kind of an unknown to me. I had put Grief Squad moving on just based on my experience with Bleeding Teal. But like I said, my experience playing against him last night, some cause for concern, I guess.
No, absolutely understandable. I put Echo Vocation's team with the Grief Squad moving on as well there. We can move up here to the 15th versus 18th seed, Straight Tilted versus 343 Pro Team. Straight Tilted consisting of Dan the Man, the Canadian Overshield player, SMP 11, Solid Bob, and Prospects. I don't know enough about Prospects, but I know Solid Bob very well. He has a very great pistol. I would consider him the best player on this team. And I think he's going to have to do a little bit of hard carrying, maybe not in this round 1 matchup, but of course you can see where they're going to match up on round 2.
Yeah, definitely. And it's kind of funny seeing this Dan the Man versus Spore Frog. I kind of bucket them together. I think Dan it probably is the better player. I think Spore Frog has popped off approximately 1 time in his life. But I bucket both of them together as people who can hit shots, but are generally in the wrong spot on the map and screwing over their entire team. So that's kind of a funny first round match just for me to see. I do agree. I think Dan's team is going to move on, and then certainly they have their work cut out for them. The other one I thought was funny to jump over is Checky's team versus PF Epsilon, because both of those guys are impossible for me to kill.
Yeah, I actually don't know enough about either of these teams, so I can't give any predictions or analysis here. All I know is that when I looked at my bracket, I just picked the higher seed here. So if you want to give some insight here, Cold Snap, for the viewers and myself.
Yeah, I actually ran against PF Epsilon, Checkmate, and Fate, the 3 stack just against me last night. And so once again, that's looking dire for them if they're struggling with 1 player. PF Epsilon, certainly the best player on that team. Like I said, incredibly challenging for me to kill. So if that carries over, I would kind of expect them to go over the top of Checky. Um, I have some crazy clips of Checky just completely eating grenades and shots, but I think it's going to take a little bit more than that. So I do think Epsilon's team is going to go on.
All right. Well, I think our round one matchups are all pretty close together going into winners round two. We just have a few more teams to talk about here in winners round two. We have to talk about Twisted's team. We have to talk about the Z Soulshade team, Quace's team, and my team. So where do you want to start here? And then we'll be through the winners round two matchups.
Let's just go top to bottom. So that's Twisted's STK versus either Checky or Epsilon, whichever of those two go past. Um, and that's very obvious how that's going to go. I think the question is how many games will the entire team goose against STK?
Players or Goose. I don't think we'll see an entire team Goose against STK, but I would not be surprised to see a few Goose eggs from individual players throughout the series, especially if they get a map early on like Derelict, Prisoner. Even, they could even get them on something like Damnation and just play super aggressive. They're not going to be able to know where they are on the map, and Twisted and company can send a lot of Goose eggs. I mean, it's going to be a quick 4-0. I believe I'd be shocked if anybody takes a map off Twisted's team in the first two rounds.
No, absolutely. And, maybe it's just going to be a lot of montage moments running around, no scoping. So the games might actually be closer than they would otherwise be. I don't really expect them to, turn it up against a team like that. So yeah, I agree. Definitely a 4-0. And then it's you versus True Rampage.
Yes, us first true Rampage, get feed or feed trying regular sir, and I don't know the last name here on the list, honestly.
It's
I've never
Larabe.
Larabe. I've never played Larabe, I don't think, in matchmaking or in customs or anything. I don't mean to
Yeah,
toot
I
our
play Wolf and
teams.
against him quite a bit.
I don't mean to toot our team's own horn, but I think this should be a pretty easy round one matchup for us. We have a lot of scrim experience. Our team is very calm. On the mic, I'm probably the most vocal player on the team, next to Real Power, aka Laugher. Um, Mike Levin and Chief Crypto, very quiet guys. They know where they need to be on the map, and we've gone over a lot of things on how we want to play specific maps going into this tournament. So I feel very confident for winners round two.
Yeah, absolutely. Big props to easy win for you for joining the tournament. I think, they're just kind of in it just to be here and have some fun. I don't think they expect to be able to, win against your team. Hopefully, I'd like to see him take some games off. True Rampage. He's a pretty decent player. Harder to say as much as I like these guys, harder to say as much for the rest of them. Larabe is obviously the biggest weak link on that team. He plays with Colombians a lot, so sometimes that can affect the outcomes of games where maybe he'll get quite a few kills from whatever that overshield is. But for the most part, you can expect him to run in a straight line and go -11 or something like that.
That's what
And
I
I
like
think,
to see.
yeah, I think about the same out of Sir and Get Fed. Get Fed, he's okay. But yeah, we're gonna see some ugly games here.
Yeah, so I think winners round two. I granted I'm talking about it here on the bracket show, but I do feel very confident for our team going into winners round three. I don't want to forget about Rain Man's team right here and about Zach the One's team actually because we didn't speak about
Right.
them here at the
Oh yeah,
5-12 seed. You have Packet Loss, which is Rain Man Shunzu from Portugal, and then he also has Anscar and Kabi T from Colombia on his roster. They're going to be rounding out your 5 seed, and going up against the number 12 seed is going to be Zach the One, Just Too Nasty, I Dream Queen, and D to the P because Mimic could not make it for the tournament. D to the P doing a great job stepping in for this team. What do you think about this round one matchup or winners round two matchup here against Rainman's team?
I think it's going to be uh, fairly handily in Chunsu's favor. Packet Loss. Chunsu and Rain Man are both very good players. I think maybe Zach the One is the best on his team. I just ran against them last night as well, not with Dream Queen or D to the P, but Zach and Nasty and whoever their third was. Again, another time where you hate to see it in the 1v3 and they fail to perform. Zach is a bit of a killer, but his positioning is god awful, and Just Too Nasty just kind of feeds. And I kind of expect to see that out of their team. So probably right into losers for them.
Okay. Yep. And so Rayman, I know you're watching the stream, but I'm also going to agree your team should be moving on right away here into winners round 3, which then we get to go to one of my favorite teams in the tournament. I can't wait to watch the VODs after, especially if he's streaming, and that's going to be Z Solshi Gets Carried, which consists of Z Solshi, our favorite Colombian Kaiser Ramirez, our favorite cheater Vinthex, and Falcon.
Just our favorite. Our
Just
favorite
our
bird.
favorite. Our
Yeah.
favorite.
Yeah. Obviously, heavy contenders for the finals here. They could win the entire thing. I think there's a couple things to think about for this team. I think the single biggest one is that um, Kaiser is not a very responsible person whatsoever. So the question is going to be, will he even show up to the tournament? If he does not, I think that Fizzy subs in for that team. So for the first few rounds, there shouldn't be any difference in win-loss results as far as if the team is advancing or not, whether they have Kaiser or Fizzy. But that is one of the factors that I'm thinking about for that team is, Kaiser just completely AFK'd for like 2 hours in the last tournament and then just shows up like, oh, I'm here. So yeah, that's kind of the question is, will he do that again? And that's kind of for a little while, the only thing to really think about for that team. They're just major slayers. Vintex, Falcon, and Kaiser obviously just super nasty with their snipes. I know the team name is Zolshi Gets Carried, but Zolshi also a very talented, very aggressive player, and so I think his support playing style is going to complement the other Slayers very well.
Yeah, I think that's a spot on assessment right there. Is that Z Solshi is going to take in that role that Fizzy played in past tournaments with these guys, where he's going to be the main anchor on the team. He's going to be the guy back green. He's going to be the guy top 03 on Prisoner. He's going to be blocking the ports on Battle Creek. And I know a lot of people are saying, "Oh my God, they have Kaiser. He's going to drop 25 kills a game." But I feel like a lot of people are still, for some reason, overlooking Venthex and Falcon, who either at any point in those matches can easily drop 20 kills to help out Kaiser. This is just not a team that's just the Kaiser show. He has two
No,
other
absolutely.
incredible Slayers in Venthex and Falcon, which is why they're the number 2 seed here in the tournament.
Yeah, and I think if you are looking at the various people who could be the anchor, the support player, I do like having Zolshi as that person over other people. And the reason being is that he is more naturally aggressive, and I think that complements this team a little bit better than, say if you put myself on that team. I'm obviously, pretty renowned for being a slow as molasses player. So if I was the anchor, I might not gel as well with that team as Zolshi does.
Yeah, this is a team that going into the tournament is going to hold forward on you, at least through these first 2 rounds. Um, they have 3 players, especially in Venthex and Kaiser, that they will run at you and just punch you in the mouth. And Falcon can do it as well. But I feel like Falcon's going to be the one of almost a voice of reason between those 3 and sort of sit back and continue watching spawns and setting up for position. And then unless either Ven or Kaiser dies on the map, then Falcon will go in and swoop in and do what he has to do.
That actually brings up a really good point. So let me jump, if it's okay, all the way to the grand finals because obviously we expect to see these guys there against STK. Zolshi, Vinthex, and Kaiser are well known for being very, very emotional players. How big of an impact do you think that's going to have?
Um, I think, I mean, if you do look at that team, I would say that Falcon is the most level-headed. He can get them all rounded up and keep their heads in the game. I don't really see Venthex rage that often. He's generally pretty quiet unless something does happen that makes him angry. But seeing Solshi and Kaiser, those might be the 2 players that you're going to see a lot of emotions, especially when Solshi is on stream. I don't know if Kaiser's going to be streaming tomorrow as well. That if things aren't going their way, it's going to be interesting to see how Falcon or even Venthex can keep the team composure in their mindset. 1 point to win the match. And I think they have a great opportunity here if you just look at the 1 and 2 seed, Tupac was picked up because Hellboy was unable to play tomorrow. And I mean, personally, I think that might be a little bit of a downgrade for the 1 seed here. So I think this actually gives Z Solshi Gets Carried's team a better opportunity to make a run at the grand finals and win this entire tournament tomorrow.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, which is kind of crazy to say. Getting patch on your team is a downgrade. Maybe it is just MCC versus LAN. Fizzy and I actually played a couple of games versus Patch and Notorious, just complete crap social games. Um, but we were able to beat both of them, and I don't think that I'd be able to say that if we were playing against Hellboy.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see how Patch and Tupac play here with Twisted Infinity. These aren't two players that you normally see play with these guys. Usually you have Zor, King Nick, Hellboy. But I am actually really excited to see both the brothers, SDK Fitty and Tupac, playing together in a tournament. I want to see if maybe they have that, you know, brotherly connection that the Ogres did back in the day.
Yeah, definitely. I've actually been watching a bit of Tupac's stream, and I did notice something that I think I would like to get a little bit more insight, a little bit more clarity into. I watched Tupac three-shot Bill with his second shot completely missing, but it still counted. And then I was watching him today, and he's got a perfect pistol, and just people are not dying. So it seems like he has possibly a tremendous swing in his internet. And, in these tournaments, how good your connection is can often be the deciding factor.
Oh, absolutely. I still easily can see that team on their side of the bracket making the grand finals. So it's going to
Oh,
be
definitely. Yeah, that's a
it's going
question
to be
about just
how
the
it's
finals.
going to be how well. And I'm interested to see the Patch and Twisted comms if they start losing games. So if they start losing games, how are Twisted and Patch going to react to one another? If you watch anything from Beachland or even just Notorious and Patch playing together on twos, Patch can get very vocal, and Twisted is also a very vocal player in these tournaments. He has a lot of high energy. He's very commanding, and I'm just curious to see how Patch and Tupac are going to be able to take getting these commands from Twisted in this tournament. We already know how Twisted and Fiddy play together. Fiddy listens into everything that Twisted tells him to do, which is great. He really trusts his team captain, but you want to see how Patch and Tupac are also going to react to this.
Yeah, and I actually just scrimmed on that team with Fiddy, Twisted, and Patch last night. So maybe I have a little bit of insight into their chemistry. I was actually going back today and watching from Fiddy's perspective, and it's very cool to see how quick everyone is to rotate into the correct position and to swap out positions with each other. It's just something that's very indicative of higher caliber players that they're looking at the state of the map and not what they want to do. It's kind of interesting. Um, I think how high up you have to get before you start seeing that. Like you can get into, for an example, the Zyos Customs back in the day, or similar, where you have people who you would expect that they would be higher caliber, but their map awareness is just so completely and severely lacking. Um, but then, you contrast that with how quickly STK was able to look at what needs to be done, communicate it, and rotate out the roles. They seem to be a very versatile team. You're not looking at that team and saying, oh, this guy will play this way. I think any of them can play any role, and they're very comfortable, like, oh, now I'm anchoring. Oh, now you're anchoring.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a big thing too, because if you look across those four players, they're all massive slayers, have great pistols, a lot of storied history with all these guys, either at lands or just dominating MCC. With Twisted and Fiddy heading out to Beachland last year, getting what was it, third or fourth? Patch is Patch. He's one of the best twos players of all time right now in Halo 1. And then Tupac, who used to be a professional player back in the day as well. If as long as you can put that ego aside and just play for the win, I think this team's going to do very well in the tournament. Naturally, just being with a one seed, but I would be very shocked if they dropped a map before the winners bracket finals.
Yeah, for sure. And then come the winners bracket finals, I think, just my knee-jerk reaction here is that this looks like a control team versus an aggression team. So Kaiser is going to want to be running around and challenging as much as possible. The entire Zolshi gets carried team is gonna want to spawn in with a sniper rifle. Those guys just love to snipe, and I think that's their win condition is not necessarily, and this could be my lack of knowledge about this team or seeing them, but I think their win condition is not necessarily going to be their teamwork. I think it's just going to be their individual capability and their ability to win just 1v1 pistol fights or just pick off kills. Whereas I think STK is going to have to gel and coordinate and control the map much better.
Yeah, I can absolutely see that. Vinthex has one of the best snipers alongside Kaiser here in Halo 1 MCC. One of the nastiest guys. He has a burst fire mod on his sniper rifle, so he drops people instantly with that, doesn't miss shots. But I do see that as the two winners finals teams that we're going to get to. But I don't want to leave out this last team. I don't want to leave out Quase's team. We
Yeah.
haven't talked about them them at all. Obviously, I play a ton of twos with Hippie Magic. He's my main twos partner when I play. And this team is very hot and loaded across the board with Slayers, with Quace, Hippie Magic, Fuzz Senior, and Salami on top.
Right, yeah. Even though this team has approximately 3,000 Smurf accounts, you always know when you're playing against them by the smell of the burning Ethernet cables. In addition to being incredibly talented, they're all extremely lagging, extremely hard to hit. So they're definitely my knee-jerk reaction for third place for this entire tournament.
Yeah, I would agree with that assessment as well. Quace is going to be the level-headed guy here in this series. When we have scrimmed them and when I've watched their scrims, the biggest thing about this team is just their attitude when they start losing games. When they're winning, this team is absolutely on fire. You can't do anything to stop them. But if you start rounding off a couple of maps, that frustration does set in. And it's going to really be Quace here, who I'd like to see, either him or Salami, since they're both a little bit quieter out of these four players, to try and just reel the team in, get them focused. Like, they know that they are one of the top teams here in this tournament, absolutely bar none. And, they could shock any of these teams. I could absolutely see them beating the number 2 seed. I could see them bringing Twisted's the SDK team to a game 7 if need be. That's just how much raw slaying power this team has. They all have fantastic pistols. They know their map positioning very well. They know what they need to do to win. But the big thing is going to be watching the attitude and the mindset going into the tournament when things do get tough.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Hippie and Fuzz both do rage quite a bit. But you have a really good point too. These guys play together so much that their teamwork is just incredible. When I've scrimmed against them on Battle Creek, it's been very oppressive. They're very good at swapping out, getting control, pushing to where they need to be. So yeah, absolutely. There is a world in which they get second, maybe even first. That's kind of a bit of a stretch to see them beating both super teams, but that could happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it wouldn't shock me if they came in second in this tournament. First place is, I mean, that means they do have to beat this Z Soul She Gets Carried and SDK team. But that's going to be a tough hill to climb. Absolutely, them putting them in the top 3 is the right move. Hit them at the 3 seed right here is the right seeding for them. It's just going to be, and they've been scrimming more than any other team leading up to this tournament. We've scrimmed them multiple times. A lot of teams have been scrimming them just to give them practice, and they're looking very hot going into this tournament. I think they've been 6-0ing most teams they've been scrimming against, minus ours and Z Soul She Gets Carried team. We went 4-4 against them with our full team on the first week of practice, so that's why we felt really confident. Plus, I think all of us play together a lot, so we know who plays what and what sort of play styles, which gives both teams an advantage over each other. But it also helps keep the games close. And then this past Monday, we did another scrim against them. We did lose 2-4, but 3 of our 4 losses were under 5 kills. We just got slapped around on Battle Creek, which is our team's worst map. But otherwise, we felt very good about how we played against them, and that brings our confidence up as the 4th seed. Is that, hey, if we can hold up with Quase's team, like, we feel like we're going to make a deep run in the tournament as well.
For sure. Yeah, I definitely do think your team is probably 4th for this whole thing. One thing that's cool, so we do obviously expect Quase's team, the Beeliners, to steamroll the Grief Squad. And like I said, I expect LD50's 3-shot teabaggers to be the one moving on. So we will probably get to see Quace versus LD50's team. And I think that is going to be a very explosive game. I think that'll be very fun, very action packed.
I agree with that as well. I think this is actually going to be one of those series, though, where we talk about the beeliners, holding forward holding forward a lot and everything. I think against the Greece squad, they'll do that just because they have that raw skill talent that they can just immediately win the game. But when they play LD50's team, I actually expect them to take a few steps back and start taking it slow because they're also going to want to be preparing themselves mentally for what would be the winners round 4 matchup against the Z Solchi gets carry team. And if they're just holding forward through 2 straight series, you don't want that carrying over going into that matchup with the 3 and the 2 seed. You want to be able to know, hey, we have to remember that we have to hold certain positions on the map. This isn't going to be a walk in the park for us. I do think that Quace's team should probably come out with another 4-0 victory in winners round 3, though. I just think the skill gap is too large for them to even drop a map, and with how much these guys have been playing together.
Yeah, and another thing, back to what you're saying about teams' mental. As much as I love the guy, Brink has one of the worst mentals in the game, I think, and to have to run against Hippie and try to shoot somebody who spawns in with an overshield, I don't think he's going to go 2 games before he's mentally checked out. So I think the first game or 2 will be really good, but after that, I think they're just going to fold.
All right, so that was we're already moving through winners round 3. We can look at the next set. This is going to be Z Solchi gets carried versus CFD Micropuds, the Kaiser, Venthex, Falcon, Z Solchi stack against Bill Jansen's team. And no knock on Bill right here, but I just don't even see them pulling a map against this team. I mean, against our team, when we scrimmed them, they pulled a Nate Dog and we had Fizzy. It went 5-2. We played an extra map against them just to get some prisoner practice, and they had Nate Dog over Sneak. I just don't see Bill's team doing much against Kaiser's team right here in this series. I think it's just going to be a quick 4-0.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think in Bill Jansen and Kaiser, you have some very similar gameplay. They're both people who are going to abandon good positioning for the flashy jump out sniper play. But Kaiser does have the better sniper. So, he's going to win that exchange every single time.
Absolutely. And then I'm going to be interested. Hopefully, our team isn't playing right away against Rayman's team in that winners round 3, because I want to see the comms that are going on Bill's stream for that winners round 3 matchup against Kaiser. A lot of people, if you watch Bill's stream, he gets very vocal. He gets very animated with how things are going on the map. And now, he's got to play against Kaiser. He's got to play against Vin and Falcon in a best of 7 4v4. And seeing his mental game is going to be really big for this team, because Bill's likely the best player on that team. And if your best player is tilted and not playing up to par, that can impact the rest of the team.
Yeah, and actually, I kind of expect to see Bill as the best player on the team earlier on in the tournament, but as they start to run into better teams, I think it's going to be Pure Money or Sneak who has the better stat line.
Ooh, big predictions out of Cold Snap right here. Pure Money and Sneak with a better stat line than Bill, and I don't think Bill wants to have that happen on stream either.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he probably will change and rate it in. It is a tournament, right? It's not socials. But we'll see. We'll see how much you can do that.
All right, and then moving up yet again, Rice Crisp Threes. That's my team against Packet Loss. That's Rain Man's team. And excuse me, I guess I made a mistake. I thought it was Anskar that was the second Colombian, but I guess it's Metal Zios that's filling out that roster for them. So I think this is going to be a great series against Rayman's team. He definitely picked a bunch of foreign players to try and help that little connection hacking scheme that they were going in for the tournament. But fortunately for us, is that the only servers that are allowed are the central servers, and Shunzu has a dog shit reg when he has to connect to central servers and customs. And as anybody who plays twos know, you turn off East when you play twos so you can match Central against Colombian players. And our reg is much better and their reg is much worse. So I think this might hurt Rayman just a little bit here.
Yeah, I think it's more kind of a gimmick team than anything that you would expect to see getting too far in the bracket. I'm not super familiar with Kabi T and Metal Zios. I have played against them a little bit, but neither one of them has really stood out to me. I think, if Anskar was on the team, I think, as crappy as he used to be, I think he has gotten way, way better. I think actually he is maybe one of the better Colombians now. But yeah, I don't really know Metal Xylos very well.
I would say that Rayman made a great pickup with Kabi T for this tournament. I think that he's the second best Colombian
Okay.
player right now, behind Kaiser Ramirez, and Kabi T can really pop off in tournament settings. He did it in the past tournament that I hosted, where they had the entire Colombian team, which consisted of Deoxys, Metal Xylos, Kabi T, and I forget who their fourth was. I'd have to check, but Kabi T is a very hardcore Slayer, and he's going to be the player that we're going to mainly look to shut down in that series.
Okay. That's very interesting, but I guess that is right because to me it's Chunsu that stands out on that team, but probably just because I'm more experienced playing against him than Kabi. Rain Man certainly is going to be the man behind the curtain, pulling the strings, trying to make things happen. He's a very intelligent player, but if you can't win your pistol shots because of connection, there's only so much that team's going to be able to do. And even, regardless of that, land setting, I still think your team takes this. Maybe they just win more maps.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think this is a 4-0 for either team. I think this is definitely a series that a lot of people are going to see a game 6, game 7. And it's going to, like I said, it's going to be the mental aspect of when you're down in a series or the series is really close, is how you're going to treat it. And I think that from how our team has played, is that we've gone down in series 0-2, 0-3, and we keep ourselves very composed while we're playing. We don't worry about the map that just happened. We just go, all right, let's just go to the next map.
Yeah, I
And we
know you
just,
guys have
and
been
we,
scrimming a lot too. I don't know how much they have been, so that definitely helps your mental if you have been getting your butt kicked coming up to the tournament. Like, okay, all right, got that out of our system. Now we can kind of just play.
yeah. All right. And then obviously, this is the last matchup in winners round 3. I mean, this is going to be STK against either High Ping Advantage or Feedy Fondlers. I mean, this is going to be a 4-0. I don't think there's much analysis to really give right here. I don't see STK dropping a series until winners bracket finals. And that
Uh,
includes if either our team, my team, or Rayman's team had to play them in winners round 4. Like, I don't think either of our teams take a map off STK.
Actually, just as far as the humor factor, I really want to see them play against high ping advantage. I just want to hear the yells on that team when they have to try to shoot those players.
Yeah, just hearing Twisted yell. Granted, Twisted might be a little lucky being in California, matching up against Blaza in Australia.
That
He
is
knows how to play.
true.
Patch, though, might get a little vocal
I think
over the
Patch
connection
will,
issues.
after what I saw of Tupac's connection in socials today, I think he is going to struggle to hit things. I guess there was one other consideration. This is kind of going back to the finals. Um, when I was watching Fiddy's rebroadcast, I did notice a lot of inability to curb aggression, charging out, no shields, and then just getting immediately cleaned. And I don't know if that's um, twos habits coming in to where now in fours there's so many more angles that you could be shot from, twice as many people on the map. But when we're talking about the hyper aggression of Kaiser's team, certainly Fiddy and Tupac are both very aggressive players. And I did see it burn Fiddy quite a bit last night.
I think even so, I think when it comes tournament day, you're going to see him get into that realm of I need to be playing for the position on the map. Twisted's obviously going to be calling out everything that they need to be doing, and Fiddy is very good about listening to what Twisted needs for them to do on the map. So I think even just in like scrims right now, you want to get the jitters out. You want to see what's not going to work against certain teams. But I think STK will go back to the tried and true, play positional awareness to pop 5 to 10 kills off before they can get a kill on you. So I can see. I mean, I think it's going to be a 4 right away in winners round 3, which brings us onto the winners semifinals, which will be STK versus either my team or Rainman's team, depending on how our series goes. And if it is my team, I don't see us picking up a map on Twisted's team. Our goal, we did agree, is that we would like to win one map in that best of 7. If we win one map, even if it's a derelict, which, any team can win a derelict just due to how the spawns work.
Right.
We'd be
Kind of
very
hang 'em
satisfied with
too.
that. Yeah, Hang'em can work very well. We're very good at that map. We actually will count down on teammates that are spawning, bottom open or at red shoddy. And or Real Power, excuse me, is very vocal about when they're spawning red shoddy to leave one guy. And you'll hear us pop out 3 people right away, and then no shots will be fired for 5 seconds. And then we'll see the new spawns, and then it just goes over and over again. And I know Fizzy can attest to that as well, as we did that to Bill's team in scrims, and it was very dirty what we did. We won the map like 50-12 on Hang'em. So
Nice.
if we would
Yeah, I do
somehow
have
get a
your
map like
team.
that, yeah, if we would have a map like that, we would be very excited if we could try that. But I mean, it is also STK. I mean, they're gonna fight tooth and nail for every inch of the map.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously, the maybe more interesting, sorry, is Kaiser versus Quace. And here it is, are they gonna be in the finals?
I so this will be very interesting here in the winter semis. I don't know if Quase's team has scrimmed them since the first week when the teams were made. I know the first time they scrimmed them, they did lose 6-0 to Kaiser's team. However, uh, it's going to come down to how are they going to feel going into this game. It's the 2 versus 3 seed. You automatically know it's going to be a tough series. Can Quase's team rally it together and just outslay these guys? Um, and does having Z Solshi over someone else, is that going to impact the Vintex Falcon Kaiser tri-stack? You have 4 great players across the board on Quase's team. You have 3 really great players for Z Solshi gets carried, and I would put Z Solshi below in skill level below Quase, Hippie Magic, Fuzz, and Salami. But would that make any impact going into that series, you think?
Yeah, I don't think so, and I think a lot of that does come to that their team dynamic being that it's hyper aggression, and so I think the area where Zolshi really needs to perform for this tournament is just on map awareness because that's kind of on him, right? He doesn't really he's going to be hitting shots. He's going to be helping. Um, and those are going to get cleaned up. But the thing about whether he has a positive or maybe he should have been replaced with Bo or somebody like that, impact will be how well does he anchor that team, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be the biggest thing is how well he anchors. And, I think it's going to be a great series. I hope we don't see like a 4-0 there just because, it's Kaiser Benthex Falcon playing on that team. I hope we get to see a really good 6 or 7
Right.
game series. Um, and it'd give a lot of viewers something really good to watch between the 2 and the 3 seed in this tournament. So that
Yeah,
brings us to, oh, go ahead.
yeah, I do think if it does go to a 4-0, I think as hard as it is for people to kill Hippie, I think it's also hard for Hippie to kill other people. And so I don't really think Hippie is going to be able to kill Kaiser pretty much ever. And if you have to say something like that, that's starting to make it look like a 4-0. If you're taking one of your players almost out of the game.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And a big issue alongside the Beeliners is they're also spread out all over the United States. You have Quace down in Georgia, Hippies in Kansas, Fuzzes in Oregon, and Salamis in New York. So their connections in the server, it's going to really impact. Maybe Fuzz has a terrible connection and just can't hit shots. So then are they going to know that, hey, maybe Fuzz needs to be the guy that has to anchor a little more while Hippie and Quace and Salami are the ones trying to outslay? Because at some point, not all 4 of these guys, just where they're spread out over the United States, are going to have the best connections to the server. One person's going to draw that short straw.
Yeah, definitely.
So that'll move us into the winners finals, which, if we're guessing correctly, should be STK versus Z Solshi gets carried. And Fizzy sent me a quick update from scrims between Twisted and Kaiser. So this was last week when Fizzy had subbed in for Twisted's team. They won the first series 4-2, which was Twisted's team, and then they tied the second series 3-3. But Twisted's team did consist of Fiddy, Twisted, Zorg, and Fizzy. And then last night, Fizzy subbed in against their team for Tupac, and they won 4-2. So it's not the full team, but we get a decent idea of where the teams are currently standing in their scrims against each other.
Like I said, and it's completely and totally meaningless, but technically Fizzy and I did play against Patch and Noto and beat them in both games. To be honest, Fizzy might be better than Patch. And so having Patch on the team, um, that might mean a little bit less.
Might mean a little bit less. I mean, I guess we'll see come tomorrow. These are the two teams that I expect to see in the winners finals. In upset, the most likely upset I think coming through this winners bracket would be Quase's team beating Falcon's team. I think those are the three most likely teams that we'll see in the winners finals. But if we're just playing off like seeds right now and what we've normally seen in tournaments, we should see Z Solchi gets carried versus STK. And then the winner of that, I would say that STK should win that and be in the grand finals, waiting for the losers bracket to catch up.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. I didn't really do my homework of setting everybody up through the losers bracket. So I know I predict Meat versus Epsilon. I mean, it's always a bummer that that's just the way it goes. Somebody's getting knocked out quick. Um, but yeah, round one, round two are about all that I looked at, and
Yeah,
so yeah, I do think Epsilon's team is going to be one of the first teams out of the entire tournament. Same with Dan the Man or Spore, whichever win or whichever loses in the winners bracket. I think that their team loses to Zach's team,
okay.
and then I think Bleeding Teal also is one of the first. His team is going to be one of the first out.
Yeah, I would have to look at how this losers bracket's set up for loser of one versus loser of eight and everything. But I think, look, how about you just give me your top six prediction here? Because the losers bracket will take forever to get
Sure.
through.
Yeah. No.
Yeah,
Absolutely. We're not
there's
gonna
so
we're not gonna
many
comb through
different
that.
ways. Yeah, there's so many different ways that the losers bracket could go, just depending on upsets. Um, Also, the losers bracket only being a best of five, so less chances for mistakes. You don't get as much time to reset during the series and try and get your composure together if you go down 0-2, as if you did in the winners bracket. If you go to 0 down, you could go down 0-2 in the winners bracket. You still have plenty of time to rattle off 4 wins. You can still play for that game 6, game 7. But here in the losers bracket, 2 wins and your back's already against the wall and the gun's already loaded and at your head.
Yeah. For top six, obviously it's STK and Zolci gets carried for first. Uh, Quase's team, the Beeliners for third. I think your team for fourth. And then I think at that point it kind of is just a question of who is Puckett going to be able to get and how good can Strange Purple and Dominator play? Will they be able to break into top six?
They're going to have to play a long way through the losers bracket as well at that point, depending on if they lose that first round matchup versus Bill's team, or that winners round two matchup, excuse me. They're going to have to play a lot of games to get in the top six.
Yeah, so that's at least they'll have some good practice.
Yeah, they'll get a lot of games to get warm. I would say I agree with your assessment on the first 4 teams. I think it goes to Twisted, Kaiser, Quace, and our team. And then for my last two, I think that Rainman's team is definitely going to stay here in the top six through the bracket. I think they have a lot of individually skilled players. They could beat our team and take top 4 in the tournament at any point. I think when I was looking at the bracket, depending on both of our teams, whoever loses that winners round matchup, to place top 4, you have to play Quase's team most likely. So if we beat Rayman's team, for them to play for top 4 in the losers bracket, they have to play Quase's team. Whereas we would have to play what would likely be either Bill's team, LD50's team, Rockavelli's team, just from how the losers bracket is set up. So Rayman's team, I think,
Gotcha.
and our team, whoever loses that winners round 3 matchup, has a tougher road to top 4 than the other team.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's the advantage of having filled this out all the way. You get insight like that. And then I really don't know who else. I mean, it's technically possible that the 3-shot teabaggers, that they're just on fire when Brink is on fire. His pistol is ferocious. Same with LD and his sniper. We've seen the bullheaded death god that LD50 can become. So, if that's who shows up to the tournament, I could see that team getting top 6.
Yeah, this was my dark horse team of the tournament, just depending on how well Brink and LD50 pop off. If those two are playing out of their minds and they're really carrying the games, easily a top 6 team, even though they are the 6th seed. That 6th, or I'd say about 9 seed here in the tournament, is a little difficult to predict who's really 6, who's really 9. Like between LD50, Bill Jansen's team, H1 Lock's team, and Rockabilly's team, and Puckett's team, depending on who he gets. These are teams that I think are really closely, evenly matched, and anybody could take a series off each other. Meat's team's another team that I think could really surprise a couple of people. Maybe not get top 6, but I can see them getting top 8 if their team works on point. If they push the top 6, they would be the Cinderella team of the tournament, coming in as the 11th seed. But I think they might be the last team that can make a push for a top 6. I don't think anybody below them has
Right.
enough, either just raw individually skilled players to be able to do that, or they just don't play together enough. Meat's team is very fortunate that they all play together constantly. So maybe they surprise a lot of teams and start rattling off wins, and that boosts their confidence. But LD50's team, Bill Jansen's team, and I would say who was AC Locke's team, I could see High Ping Advantage making a really deep run here in the tournament as well through the losers bracket. The losers
Yeah,
bracket
definitely.
tomorrow is going to be very exciting to watch, to see what upsets happen. It's going to be very close all the way through. I think we're going to see a lot of 5-game series in the losers bracket tomorrow.
Yeah,
And
and I think one of the main treats for me coming out of this tournament is and boy, I've forgotten his name, but all the VODs that are going to be saved on YouTube. That's going to be some quality content, not to, the stuff that you miss on the tournament day, to be able to go back and watch those.
Shout out to Cyrix.
Yep, absolutely.
Cyrix.
If you are streaming tomorrow, which one player in your team has to stream all the matches in case there's any accusations of cheating or anything like that, you have save your Twitch VODs to upload to Cyrix, so we'll always have these VODs available on his YouTube channel. He does a great job with collecting a lot of old videos and tournaments, so people can go back and watch.
And yeah, like you were saying, in the losers bracket, there will be so many close games. I'm sure so many just fire games that we won't be able to see everything. So to be able to go back and rewatch those and put some facts to the predictions is something I'm very excited for.
Yeah, I would say that my top 5 are going to remain off the top 5 seeds, and then that last 6th place team to get into the money is going to be what teams don't fall to the pressure in the losers bracket, especially when you're playing at that level where you're at the top 12 and then you're at the top 10 and then you're playing for top 8. And it's going to be how these teams collectively can get their shit together and just try and win another series. You just have to get one series at the time once you're in the losers bracket.
Yeah, definitely. As well as how much can they react during the tournament to say, oh, this isn't socials anymore. I can't do that. Because probably, a lot of these people don't have tremendous amounts of this kind of level of games, right? That these kind of games are just so rare that I think a lot of people are going to be bringing in some bad habits from socials, and then it could be who responds more quickly to say like, oh, I actually need to play a bit more respectfully. This other team is actually good.
Yeah, I think that's a great point right there, is that our team, when we were scrimming, even, when we were playing like Bleeding Teal's team and such, our team took it as, treat it like we're playing, Quace's team, like Twisted's team. We're play as though, this is grand finals right now. Set up where you need to be set up on the map. We're not holding forward. We're not going to mess around. Just take it seriously, so we know how we have to play come tournament day. And I think that's important. That's how some teams needed to be scrimming over the past week.
All right, boys.
Yeah, to have that mindset.
We are well over an hour, and I'm so happy you guys did this. The chat seems to love it. I've been getting messages from people that this was an awesome idea, and I think everybody's just really excited for tomorrow, and I get that. So, before we go, I'm gonna hold both of your feet to the fire. I'm not letting you off that easily. Sunzel, gun to your head. Who was winning the tournament?
Cold Snap goes first.
Cold Snap, gun to your head. Who's winning the tournament?
I just can't root against Kaiser, man. He's just a walking cheat code, a murder bot. His snipe is just too perfect. And really, as much as I harp on how much his connection makes him the player that he is, he's also a tremendously intelligent player. He's just really the full package. And I think the fact that SDK was not able to get King Nick or Zorg, I think that's going to hurt them. I do see Zolshi's team getting first.
Cold Snap calling for the dethroning of Twisted and Fitty from their tournament dominance from all last year. Sunzel, prediction.
I'm going to stick with the favorite team in this tournament with Twisted and Fitty. Anytime there's been a tournament where you've had to make your team and it's not been a draft-based tournament, they have won every single tournament, and I think that does play a big role. So even though they have Tupac and Patch playing in this tournament, and it's two new teammates, I don't have Hellboy or King Nick or Zorg, I still see Twisted's team winning the grand finals.
Okay, going with the tried and true. Tough to bet against Twisted. Can't argue with that.
Very tough.
So guys, thank you so much for doing this, and thank you guys in the chat for responding and making this a lively stream. Hope everybody enjoyed it. I will put the bracket link on the Discord, and I will be making the commands so that tomorrow anybody can find the bracket if they need to. In the meantime, let's toss somebody a raid. Who's streaming?
Sham Garbage is, Prof Lead is.
Let's throw it
Give it to Sham.
Yeah, let's throw it to Sham.
Yeah, Sham's playing in the tournament tomorrow, so he's playing with Bleeding
I don't
Teals.
know. Hold on.
Believe.
The chat's all saying Pac.
Pac, Tupac streamer as
yeah,
well.
Yeah, you got to give it to Pac.
right.
And actually, I don't think Sham is. I think there's some adjustments there.
Okay, well, I tried to listen to the chat. So we are going to raid Tupac, show him some love, and thank you again, everybody. I appreciate it. Good luck tomorrow to all the teams that are competing. Thank you so much for being a part of this. I can't believe we got the turnout we did. But C is alive and well, boys.
Never dies.